Hello everyone, it's Janet from SugarShine Designs. I'm so glad you're here with me. Today I'm participating in the Fall Crafts 2018 YouTube Hop with a group of talented crafters. Our hosts are Sandi Nagel of Decorate Your Life and Robyn Pitts from Sir Chauncey Rocco Creative Designs. I thank them for the invitation. It's great being here. Qualify for all the hop drawings. Watch each video, give a thumbs up, comment with what you enjoyed, confirm you're a subscriber, and make your subscriptions visible. After watching this, please go to Carol Hurlock's channel for the next hop video. My hop prize is sponsored by Creative Escape Papercrafting. They have generously donated a $20 gift certificate plus free shipping for any order over $20. Visit their web store for all your crafting needs. Well, let's get started. My fall project is the sunflower wall hanging, which measures about 14 inches from side to side. The pattern is from my scrap chick, and I cut it out using my Cricut Explorer. It's compatible with most die cutting machines, but it also has a PDF file so you can cut it out manually if you don't have a machine. So let me show you how this goes together. Alright, to start with, I'm going to show you all the pieces that I'm going to need to make my sunflower. First of all, there are these pieces. There's 4 of them. They have fold lines in them that go between the petals, and each one has holes at the bottom. And these holes are going to be used to connect the 4 pieces together to form the flower. Now here are the center pieces of the sunflower. So these are the seed pods that go in the center. There's 7 pieces. They stack one on top of each other, and we're going to put foam tape in between them so that they stack up and look, actually rounded like a real sunflower seed pod would look. There are 3 leaves that go to this project, and you can see that these have fold lines that have been cut into the die cut. And these will allow us to fold the leaves and to create a more 3-dimensional appearance to them. The last pieces here are for the 2 bees that are going to be on our wall hanging. One is a back view and the one on the right is a side view. I've cut the wings out of some frosted vellum that I had in my stash. I'm going to shade and color these petal pieces with 2 oxide inks, Fired Brick and Spiced Marmalade. Here is one of the petal pieces that I've already colored to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to bring in a brand new petal piece, and I'm going to show you how I colored these with the inks. The first thing that I do is to take the distress ink and tea dye and use a finger dauber to distress the petal edges to create more dimension. All I'm doing is rubbing the dauber against the edge of each petal so that I can get a bit of the ink on the edges, and that way each petal will stand out a little bit more when they're stacked on top of each other. And I do this on all the pieces, all the petals. Okay, so now I've gotten each of these petals edged with that tea dye distress ink, and now I'm going to take the spiced marmalade with another dauber, and I'm just going to lightly rub that across laterally on each of the petals. The idea here is to create a little bit more shading, a little bit more color variation, and also it will help it appear as if it's got more depth once we bend the petals to the shape that we're looking for. I'll go ahead and do that with all of these petals just like I'm doing here. Once the spicy marmalade is in, then I'll take the Fired Brick Distressed Oxide and put just a little bit more just right down the center of all that marmalade, and that again gives it a little bit deeper color in the center where our bends are going to be. And here you can see that there's a lot more depth created by using the 2 inks here together. I'm going to next show you how to do the folding of these petal pieces. I've got 2 of the 4 right here, and you'll see I've started to fold each of these petals so that there's a mountain in the middle of the petal, a valley in between, and then another mountain. So right here I'm folding that mountain, and I'm using my fingertips to kind of shape the petal. Then I do the valley, and then I'm doing the mountain fold again right there. By folding the mountain in the middle of the petal is going to naturally curve toward my work surface here. And that's important because on the other piece, or the opposite piece, we're going to do the opposite fold. So here is the opposing piece, and you'll notice in this case I am folding it so that the valley is in the middle of the petal, and that then is creating the opposite effect of what I showed you earlier. In this case, because the valley is in the middle of the petal is going to curve upward towards me instead of toward the work surface like the other one. So you'll do 2 folded like this with the valley in the middle of the petal, and 2 of them will have the mountain in the middle of the petal. So now I have the two pieces that I've both folded the same way, with the mountain piece in the center of the petal, and they're all folding down towards my work surface. I'm going to connect these two pieces together now, and so I'm going to lay them side by side, and I'm going to take the middle section and attach it right side to the left side. And so one of these on the right has the tab, whereas opposed on the other there is no tab. And we will use the tab right there on that right piece. Apply the glue here and then press it to the piece on the left without the tab, matching up the holes so that it becomes one continuous piece. The next step is to connect the two ends together to create a circular piece. And again, you'll want to match up the holes and the fold using the tab as the guideline. Once that's secure, fold it in the middle where the link is, and the end result is going to be a circular piece with a continuous valley and mountain fold back and forth. So at this point I've done the same procedure I just showed on the other two petal pieces, and so now I've got one on the left which has the valley fold in the middle of the petal, and the piece on the right has the mountain fold in the middle of the petal. So what I'm going to do is stack my petal pieces inside of each other, and because I've done the opposite fold in each of these sections, they'll lay like this with a petal in between each other, and the folds will match. It's at this point that I will take some twine, this is baker's twine, and a darning needle, and I'm going to use it to thread through the holes in my rosette. I haven't mentioned it before, but basically what we're creating here is a fancy and large rosette. Once it's all threaded, then we'll go ahead and cinch up this threading, and that will make the petals come together in the center, push everything out flat, and create the rosette. I've skipped ahead a little bit here, and I've gone all around the rosette. I'm to the last two holes, which I will thread, and then I'm going to start pulling on this thread to cause the middle of the petals to start coming together. Now these petals are pretty tough. I didn't have any trouble with anything cutting into the holes. Remember, we've got 2 layers of cardstock here since you've stacked them together, so it's actually pretty tough and can take a pretty good tug. Once it's all cinched together, I will do a very simple knot to secure the rosette in place, and then I will go ahead and cut off the excess thread. And now I'll have a finished rosette that is ready to decorate with the center seed pods. Before moving on to that step though, I am going to take a little bit of time to curl the edges of my petals. I have a tool here, it's a tool from my Silhouette machine, but you can use anything that's rounded in shape and use it to help train the petals to bend a little bit on the edges. So on the top petals I folded them one way, and on the bottom petals I folded them the opposite way. And skipping ahead, I've done all that curling, and now you can see, especially from the side view, how the petals are not only standing up but are turned back and forth. Now I'm going to start working on the center seed pod. On the first 3 layers I'm going to apply 2 layers of foam tape, one on top of each other. That way I get a really high lift, and I'll get nice dimension from that stacking effect. Once the foam is in place, but before I layer all the pieces together, I'm going to take my black Spectrum Noir marker here, and I'm going to color the edges of the foam. This way, when you see a side view of the seed pod, you won't have a glaring white piece of foam sticking out, ruining the overall image. At this point, I'm ready to apply the second piece on top of the first one. And once I get that into place, I can next apply the third piece. And this will continue just stacking one on top of each other to create that domed seed pod effect that you see in sunflowers. Here goes the first piece that has the circle cut out in the middle. And this is piece number 5, which also has a slightly larger circle cut out in the middle. Number 6, slightly larger again, and more narrow. And piece number 7 that's applied with glue, just the same as I did with piece number 6. And that will then create this beautiful pod that has great dimension and height, and it looks quite nice sitting on top of my sunflower. Alright, I'm going to move on next to the leaves, and you see one on the left has been shaded, and I'm going to show you how I did that with this leaf. I'm using distressed oxide ink and peeled paint, and I'm going to use the finger dauber to just edge the entire leaf with a bit of ink, and you can see the result there. Now next I'm going to apply the ink over the lines that have been created for folding, and I do this because then when I do fold on these lines, it will create a bit of shadowing. Once I lay the ink down, I blend it out a little bit, and the end result is a pretty nice looking shaded leaf with the veins included. Now I've sped this up because I want to show you how I folded the leaves. They are a little tricky, and it took me a little while with each of them to do it, and I didn't want to waste a lot of time in the video. But you can see that I'm finding where that cut lines, where the fold lines are, and I'm training the paper to turn and fold in those areas. The end result is a very nice looking leaf with some dimension and structure. I'm ready now to attach the flower to the seed pod. So I'm applying the hot glue over the mountains folds of the flower and putting a nice dollop of glue in the center. Then I can place the seed pod right there on the top, and the end result is a beautiful multi-dimensional sunflower that's really quite stunning. I'm going to attach the leaves now, and to do that again I'm using hot glue, and just a couple dollops of that will be fine. I've decided approximately where to put them, and I'm attaching them in the back, and just by setting the glue in there and pushing down on the leaf, you will secure them just fine. And that's how it's looking now on the front. Now I need to attach a ribbon to hang this while hanging by, so I've cut a length of ribbon in this pretty orange, and I'm attaching that as well with hot glue, pressing down with a tool so that I don't have to worry about burning my fingers or anything like that. Once those are down, I put glue over the top of each of them as well to secure them even more. I'm using a compass here, and what I'm doing is drawing a 6-inch circle with the compass in the yellow paper. As you can tell, the circle didn't come with the pattern, but I thought it would look better if I made this and applied it to the back, because then it would cover the twine and the ribbon ends and so forth and just give it a much more finished look. And now it's time to do the loop, and I just use matching embroidery floss to tie that off. And then I'm going to cover that knotting with a bow that I made out of matching ribbon, and I'm attaching that using hot glue. This is adequate to attach your bow because the bow is not supporting any weight. It is just simply sitting where the knot is. So I've worked ahead a little bit here and made my beads. They're very simple, very few pieces, and they're easy to figure out. And then I decided to mount them on clear acetate strips so that I could slip them into the flower and they would appear as if they were floating. This is something I just decided to do. In the pattern, it really instructs you just to tuck them into the flower, but I thought this was a nice effect because it appears like they're floating. This completes the wall hanging, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So included in this pattern bundle is this card pattern, and I decided to make it a thank you card. I don't have time today to show you exactly how it's made, but it goes together very simply and very similarly to the big flower, except that the petals are just two flat pieces that you create dimension by curling and shading. The front and interior sentiments come from two separate close to my heart sets. Well, that concludes the project for the hop today. I hope you enjoyed seeing how that came together. I certainly enjoyed making it, and I look forward to giving this away to someone for an extra special nice thank you gift. Before you go, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, comment, make sure you're a subscriber and that you can be seen as a subscriber, and then go on to the next person on the hop list. Thanks again for joining me today. I'll be back soon, but until then, keep crafting. Bye!